who needs to eat real food. So, good morning. We are on air. Today is the last day of the Merit 2014 Summer Institute, a two-week experience. Oh, I know, right? A two-week experience that is sort of the capstone and the heart of our year-long cohort. That we'll still have some follow-up classes, but this intense 2 weeks is kind of the thing that most people think about when they hear the name Merit. Since today's our last day, we like to finish with a guest speaker who's going to motivate our folks. And today that guest speaker is none other than the Q Rockstar baby daddy, John ObiWan Corippo.
Oh.
And by the way, his breakfast and a McDonald's play place in the back. So a careful product endorsement placement there. Very interesting. Apparently this hangout has been brought to you by a fast food chain. So, John, did you have stuff you wanted? Did you want to finish those eggs and then introduce yourself a little bit, or should I say nice things about you while you chew?
Why don't you just give them a rundown? I hate talking about myself on this stuff.
Okay, you drink that coffee and listen and make sure I don't make anything up. Okay, so I met John several years ago when I went to the first Q Rockstar camp at Minarets High School, where he had been a teacher. And the minute I met him and heard him talk, you don't hear John talk. You watch a whole thing happen in front of you, right? All of your senses are actively involved. It's very intense. But it was awesome because it was a little bit like talking to myself. So we had a great time, and not only because I didn't pay to go to that Rockstar, because I convinced them to give me a scholarship with, it's a long story. But then John said, like, you've got the right mindset. Like, you're not too like rigid and inflexible and all that stuff about education, and your heart's in the right place. And I was flattered. And he said, so I want you to present at next year's Rockstar. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So that was cool. And since then, I've done a Rockstar or two every summer, and the program itself has grown. But I don't only see and communicate with John through Rockstar activities. We're both involved in our Q affiliates. We're both pretty involved in Q, the big organization. We see each other at the fall and spring annual Q events.
Smile.
You what?
Diane, I need you to smile right now. Smile.
I'm smiling.
Smile. Okay, good. I got it. I'm tweeting.
Cool.
I'm tweeting you.
Yeah, as you were. So.
Keep going. Okay.
So, because John's school at Minarets is where they held CVQ events, I also went there a lot, and in that time also got the chance, my son and I, to stay with John and Rhonda a couple times at their house when we went out to the Central Valley. And so we jokingly call it, well, not jokingly, we call each other Wonder Twin, and a lot of that has to do with just that we feel like family to each other, and my son thinks John is his uncle, and that Rhonda's his aunt, and it's just a really fun place to be at with a professional colleague that you don't, work next to or see every day, and that's, I think we like to think we model that for a lot of people that meet us. We just have a great time, and we get together, we laugh, and we're silly, and we say funny things, and usually post selfies. John always makes weird faces in selfies, just so you know, and because of that close bond that we've managed to form in just a few years, I wanted to share John with you. And since he couldn't appear in person or even in his own house, here he comes to you from a McDonald's in the Central Valley. John, ladies and gentlemen, I give you John Corippo.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I think Diane captured that really well. She dropped into my session at the first Q Rockstar, and trivia. She got to go for free because she entered a contest about why, hi Carl, she needs to be a Q Rockstar. She actually beat out at least 4 people to win that scholarship. And so, but literally like 7 minutes into my session, she's like, I got an idea. I did that. I want to do that. So we have really gotten together over the last. We're over half a decade now, Diane. Do the math. Yeah.
When was the
Rockstar is 5 years old.
Oh. Our baby's.
Yeah. So I mean, next year we'll be old pretty soon. So,
okay.
But anyways, I just thought I would like to tell you guys a little story possibly that can help you, because raise your hand if you're jacked up about what you've been doing at Merit, right? Everybody's ready to go change the world
Lots
right
of
now.
hands are raised. I know you
Yeah,
can't see, but I'm kind of afraid to turn this
I
monitor.
see one waving. That's awesome. But you know, the thing I would encourage you guys to do is not just be excited about teaching, and not just being excited about, hi guys, getting back to your classroom, but you know, really actually making a change in what's going on in education around you beyond your classroom. So I'm going to do a little bit of a screen share right now, and I've prepared a couple of slides for this morning. But basically speaking, here, I'm going to try this. Can you guys see the slides? They're coming up here. Can you see slides? You're good?
We can see them, but it hasn't gone into present mode for us.
Okay, so let me know when.
What do you want us to do until we let you know when?
Don't you guys have a big breakfast or something? Place to play in?
Sadly, no. We're actually in a... Somebody's waving their cereal bar. It hasn't gone to present mode if you just want to...
Okay, I'm just going to do it right there. How's that?
Cool, that works. We can kind of see. Yeah, you're up on the big screen. It's all good. They giggled at Merit.
Right, good. Yeah, I made a little pun here at the bottom. Meritocracy. Get it? Meritocracy.
We see what you did there, John.
Okay. So you know, and if you guys don't teach government, meritocracy is the idea that people that it's not a democracy and it's not an oligarchy. Ooh. But the idea that what you do is what provides value. So I'm going to just kind of tell you guys the story of Q Rockstar a little bit. But basically, the original concept was to connect all the Rockstar teachers. When I worked at Fresno County office a few years ago doing CTAP stuff, who remembers that survey? Survey's awesome. But what I realized was when I went and visited all these different schools, there was always that one teacher. The principal would say, you've got to see what Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so is doing. It's over the top nuts. And what I realized is that every school has one teacher like that. And I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if we could connect them? So you take that one teacher at each school, in this case me, and I connected with another one. Now, have you guys been talking to or about Will Kimbley at all this week?
No, we have not really shared about Will yet.
Oh, it's weird to have a Kimbley free week, but anyways, so
much Kimbley.
So yeah, so I was doing my thing tweeting. I probably had like 50 or 60 followers. Will was doing his thing tweeting. He had 50 or 60 followers. We both picked up on the Central Valley Q hashtag, CVQ, and I presented at an event, and he sat in, and we kind of fell in love. We met online. And yeah, no, that's really the way it happened. And so it's a very similar story to Diane. I watched him present, and I thought, this guy's right on. He watched me present. We had the same thing. So, you know, when that one crazy teacher at one school meets that one crazy teacher at another school, this is what starts happening. I go to my principal and say, hey, this guy Will, you know what he's doing down there at his school? And Will is going to his principal saying, hey, there's this guy John. You should see this crazy stuff he's doing. We built an online presence between our interaction that allowed us to be a catalyst for each other at opposite schools. Now I'm going to jump into some more Merit stuff. Does anybody know who David Prindle is?
He was in Merit a couple. Oh, these guys are here now. He was in Merit a couple years.
Yeah, thanks for giving him processing time, Diane.
They look at me with blank stares, man. They don't know.
I was letting it settle. It was supposed to sit there for a second so it could be awkward, but no. Okay. Anyways.
You eating breakfast gave us all the awkward we needed. Go on.
Okay, good. Well, anyways, so thanks, Diane, for the segue. I was doing this about 4 or 5 years ago, and this guy named David Prindle, who's just a semi-rejected by his own staff because he's too far out teacher in Michigan, was at Merit, and I was talking about my current project, which was Minarets High School, and David started following me on Twitter, and we started hanging out. So now I have this guy who's a buddy in Michigan, and we kind of kept talking. I'll come back to David Prindle in a minute. But basically now the network started to extend. It wasn't just myself and Will, I was at a school in the foothills of the Sierra, and Will was at a school in Fresno. Now I was doing that connection with David Prindle. And then we figured, whoa, wait a minute. If we could get more people in. Now this guy right here at the bottom who looks a little like Sasquatch in this video, or still, that's Chris Scott. And he and I bumped into each other at Q down in Palm Springs. And now we've got this little cohort going where I've got a guy in Fresno, a guy in the foothills, and a guy in San Ynez, which is kind of down where Michael Jackson's Wonderland area is. And we've got this little sort of regional network going. So with Rockstar, the idea was that we would do like this. What if we could connect an entire state? I believe there are around 8,000 schools in California. What if every single school in California, that one crazy teacher, what if we were our own network? So not a network through Q, not a network through Apple Distinguished Educator, not a network through Google, not even a network through the Teachers Union. What if we were a state full of 8,000 or 9,000 teachers who all thought like Diane and I do and finish each other's sentences? And Lisa was the same thing. I met Lisa, who is amazing as well, met her through the Merit program. And there's this network building and building and building. So we started doing these Rockstar events, and we started off with just 50 or 60 people at the first one, and then it turned into 100 people, and it went crazy. Have you guys seen this video yet? Has this video made any appearance this week?
When did you see this video? Not here, but a number of them have seen it outside.
Okay. Because of the nature of streaming from McDonald's Play Place, I'm not going to play the video.
I'll show it later.
Yeah, Diane will show it later. But basically, you start off with this dude right here is doing this really goofy dance at a concert. It is really a bad dance. And what happens is this dude right here comes out and starts emulating him. And it's really a cool TED Talk video about the idea that leadership is overrated. What's important is following. And if you listen to the way that Diane and Lisa and I talk to and about each other, and Carl, same thing, is we are all excited to hear the other person's idea and then actively participate in it. That is a very, very different thing than the classic classroom teacher model, because in the classroom teacher model, the teacher is the locus. They are the center point, the Mount Everest of the room, and everything they say is right. And what we were doing is being willing to say, I don't know what I'm doing, and I need some ideas. Or, that's really cool, I'm going to steal that and make it even better. And so the Lessons from the Dancing Guy video is really a great catalyst in really focusing us at Rockstar. Now, a little Q Rockstar trivia. When I was designing the camp, it was originally, literally, the Q Rockstar Camp series, the original working title was the Lone Nut Tech Camp. And then we were afraid that Ted Kaczynski might come after us in a lawsuit or something, so we changed it to the Q Rockstar Camp. Now, remember this guy, David Prindle, I just mentioned? Okay, so he and I started this very casual tweeting and admiring each other's work. David does things like he taught a fully online class in Schoology this year on forensics, literally having his advanced science kids were doing crime scene investigation stuff. And so we had this kind of loose affiliation and chatted back and forth primarily on Twitter, all based on this little thing I had done at Merit 3 or 4 years earlier. Well, 2 years ago, I was coming home from the Q conference, and I was tweeting Dave, and he said, that sounds like a really great conference. I should take a road trip out there. And this light bulb went off over my head, and I said, road trip? Did you say road trip? Well, the cool is that David is on the board of directors for a group of people called McCall, which is, if you're not from Michigan, is the Michigan Area Computer Using Learners. And that is basically Michigan's equivalent to Q. So if you can believe this, David and I got together, and I made a proposal to David that if they would give us an $8,000 travel stipend, we would gather sponsors, build out web pages, come and present for them, and basically what we did was we rented an RV in Fresno and drove it straight through to Detroit without stopping. And so with and my yeah myself and 5 other Google certified teachers, one of whom is now an Apple Distinguished Educator. So so this is the crew that we're going with, and I'll just give you a couple more highlights. Now the Rockstar Teacher Camp. We've had this is our 5th summer of camps, and we have had over 20 folks that have attended have become Google certified teachers. Over 10 folks that have attended have become Apple Distinguished Educators. Robert Pronovost was one of our first attendees, and he became the Q Emerging Teacher of the Year, and I believe he won the ISTE Emerging Teacher of the Year. We've had people become
sorry, awkward.
No, second runner-up, nominee. Anyways, he did good stuff. He's awesome. But and honestly, the stats have gotten so big, I can't even keep up with it now because people are becoming district tech coordinators, they're becoming county leads, and some of those catalysts for those have been their Rockstar Teacher Camp because it's given them a place to meet each other and to become part of that community. Here's an example. Like this is Will. This is Will's list of stuff he's done, which is really interesting to note because when I and he first started hanging out, he was quote unquote just a classroom teacher. He was not a YouTube star teacher. He's not a Google certified teacher. He was not a Microsoft Innovative Educator. He was not an Intel School of Distinction finalist teacher. Very few of the things on that list were in place when Will and I met. But through the connections and through the community, we started really branching out and extending our influence. Another good example is Chris Scott, who teaches at about a 250 kids school in Santa Barbara, and he was one of the original rock stars as well. And I literally had to beg him to come to the conference. I said, dude, you can stay on my lawn. He was afraid of spending $100 for a hotel room. He was going to camp at my house. But you know, he's become the president of Santa Barbara Q and pretty much brought it back from the dead. He's done a bunch of presenting for Q all over the place. He was on the road trip with us. And then I'll skip this slide. So basically, we hit the road and followed Route 66 in this RV, 6 guys in a van and a whole lot of Web 2.0. We had the whole trip mapped out online. We were tweeting and blogging and having coffee queues all the way across the country. We actually dropped into the Indiana Department of Education at 8 in the morning after driving all night and did a statewide webinar on, you know, Web 2.0 and social media and things like that. And then this was part of the pitch that we gave them. Can they meet us before we present? Because here we were, 6 guys, they'd really never heard of us. And so we were hashtagging McCall and Q all the way back there. And the bottom line was, this was supposed to be an animation. We basically went back and did 2.5 days of presenting for them. We did flip teaching, Apple TVs, lots of Google stuff, video production, how to build a PLN, Apple products, all kinds of stuff like that. So if you want to have an idea of what we did in those 2.5 days, the 6 of us did 37 sessions in 2.5 days. So if you're talking about butts and seats, we probably presented to about 2,000 people at a conference that had 4,500 people at it. But it was awesome because it really put a laser focus on our teaching and our PLNs. We met other cool people like Kelly Kermode, and it really solidified my relationship with Andy Losick, who's a Google certified teacher and Apple Distinguished Educator who's there at McCall. But this was really the simplicity of the whole thing if you read this slide. We wanted to build a bridge between McCall and Q and hook up all those great teachers who work in isolation. So if you fast forward 2 years, next Tuesday I fly out to Michigan and we're going to do a Q Rockstar in Michigan. And what's amazing about it is Lisa Nowakowski, who's a Google certified teacher from California, she's paying her own way on the plane to go back to Michigan and present to some of her friends because she just moved out from Michigan a few years ago. Chris Scott is paying his own way on the plane to fly to Michigan to meet other teachers because he had such a great time in Michigan. We have Rachel Deephouse there and Rebecca Wildman, Sue Gorman. If you guys don't know who she is, she's a really, really progressive and aggressive kind of PD person. Her title is literally Director of Innovation for the school district she works in. And she's going to go out there with us, and she's going to be doing all the blogging of the live event. So if you can kind of see where I'm going with this, I really want to talk about the idea of teachers influencing other teachers, because one of the best things you probably got from Merit this week, I would hope, is that you really don't go to the cafeteria and get PD anymore. Can I get some hands up? Do you guys remember when they trucked everybody into the cafeteria and you're going to learn PowerPoint right now? It doesn't work, and it just costs $3,000. And really, how hard is it to learn any app? You crack that thing open and you push some buttons until you make it do what you want. You don't really need to be in a room for a day to learn that kind of stuff. And then this is another one of my really guiding statements, and I know you guys have seen it, but never underestimate the power of a few committed people to change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Really, my goal, I'm going back to this slide right here, and hopefully this will be kind of putting it all in focus. What if every school in the country, what if the crazy teacher from every school in the country was connected by Twitter and Google Plus and Hangouts? What if we could all do whatever we wanted to influence education as a grassroots effort instead of waiting for, and I'm putting up my fingers in the little fake quote thing, what do they call it, scientifically sound teaching models? I'm really tired of research-based teaching models. They haven't gotten us anywhere. Research-based teaching models mean that somebody paid a scientist a lot of money to agree with them. So this is a clip. I don't know if it's going to play very well, but it's worth the investment. And Diane, you can share the link. There's actually we made a 20-minute documentary of the trip back to Michigan. But this is a great still shot. See where it says Library Lady 111? We're in Michigan, and we realize that the place we have to return the RV is 27 miles away from where the convention center is, and we just really have no fix for that. So literally, we tweet out, Q McCall road trip team needs a ride to blah blah town in Michigan. Who can help us out? 9 minutes later, at Library Lady 111 says, I'm there right now. I'll bring you guys back. And so literally, she's working in her school office, picks up on Twitter what our request is, and she drives us back into the convention from her location, which I just think says a lot about that connected teacher aspect. So now moving to kind of the closing arguments here. When you Google school marm, this is what you get. Does anybody want to be that person? I do not want to be that person. Sometimes I feel that way, but I don't want to look that way. So this originally said people want authentic leaders, but here's what I think. I think students want authentic leaders. I don't think students want a person that stands in front of the room like a cardboard cutout. And I'm going to show you some of my authentic leaders that I modeled my teaching career after. One of them is Mark Harmon. Have you seen the movie? Summer School? Mr. Shoop?
Yeah.
Okay, if you haven't, Carl, I want you to note everybody that has not watched this film. That is part of their homework. Because Mr. Shoop is a PE teacher that gets made to teach summer school. He gets made to teach summer school because his boss wants him to not be available to date Kirstie Alley. Long story. But the bottom line is, if you watch the movie, the magic of the movie is that he realizes that a couple of really important things, and one is that you have to get the kids to teach to them. And basically the premise of the movie is he makes a deal with each kid because if they don't pass summer school, he's going to get fired. And so he makes personal agreement with each kid. And for one girl, it's going to her Lamaze classes. For one girl, it's teaching her how to drive. But there's such a powerful metaphor there that he extends himself and says, I'm going to do something for you so that you will invest in working with me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, bear in mind, this film is probably from 1999, 2000.
Looks
It
older.
completely. It's older than that. 95 maybe, right? Well, I've since I'm 50 now, I have age issues. But this film completely and totally predates what kids need in the classroom right now. So I would highly suggest you watch this. It's also really freaking hilarious. But that's he plays the role of an authentic leader. He takes down the wall and decides to work with kids instead of forcing them to work. Kids want teachers like this. Can anybody name the film? Can anybody name the film here? If you watch Summer School and School of Rock back to back, you won't be able to sleep because you'll want to work with kids, because he goes out of his way to find a real project, even though he's lying a little bit, because we know we all do that. But this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. It's in the montage where he is teaching them the outline, the pedagogy, the family tree of rock, and he's completely focused and passionate about that. And the kids reflect that. And I love this right here. But rock is about the passion, man. He is completely focused. But you know, one of my favorite things is, and if you watch School of Rock, and I know most of you have because it's a classic, Dewey finds a job for every kid that fits them. Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
And the one girl says, I don't want to do this. And what does he do? Does he tell her tough? No, he finds a different job, and he helps them understand their role in the bigger part. And the best part of the whole movie is at the end when the lighting kid has to wing it. Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
The kid who's going to run the lighting board has to wing it because they're doing a song they haven't practiced, because the group has decided they like this song better than the original song. And Dewey says to him, okay, I trust you guys, you've got this. And he looks over at the kid on the lighting board and he goes, you don't have any time to practice. And the kid looks at him and says, I can do it. That's what kids want out of their teacher. They want to be trained in real skills that when the chips are down, that the kid can do it, okay? And then one of my other favorite films. And this one almost makes me cry because if you haven't seen Accepted, you have to watch Accepted. The premise of the movie is that this kid does not get accepted to college. And so he basically made a fake webpage so that he can show his parents that he was accepted at a college, and then he's going to figure out how to drop out later. And the fake website that they build is so compelling that like 500 people bring him cash money because they want to be accepted. You see where I'm going with this? And this is from the scene at the end where basically the WASC of colleges has challenged his school because they feel it is not academic enough. And so if you haven't seen Accepted, trust me, if you watch Summer School, School of Rock, and Accepted, you will go to school looking like the Hulk because you will be so gassed up about teaching and changing school. The door of your classroom may be ripped off spontaneously just from pure energy. So, but yeah, literally, I built Minarets High School around this film, this idea that learning has to be passionate, and learning can't be so academic that we've lost our passion. There's a great clip in here where Justin his character is dating a hot girl, and she's going to a real school. By the way, his made-up school, I'm not going to say the acronym, but his made-up school, the name of the school is South Harmon Institute of Technology. Can you figure out the acronym? Yeah. And so if you put heads with that,
across the room.
That's how they refer to themselves, as South Harmon Institute of Technology heads. So that's the way they refer to themselves. It's a hilarious film. There's a couple parts that are a little bawdy, but it's hilarious. But it's about kids finding passion in their learning, and they literally have one class called Sitting and Thinking, and the girl says, my whole life I've been busy. I've been studying till 1 in the morning. I've been doing clubs. I've been doing things. When do I get to just sit and think? And in the movie, it's a pretty popular class. So that's accepted. I would highly suggest that you watch it. Okay, so now moving to wrapping up. Here's your call to action. Okay? Wouldn't be a good essay without a call to action. You are all jacked up to teach right now, but that's not enough. So here's my question for you guys. Who's your David Prindle? Who's the person from this group that is not from this area that you're going to connect with and scheme with for 2 to 5 years until you come up with something amazing? What is your Q McCall road trip? What are you going to do about it? Because just leaving and being excited about change is not going to change the world enough for the kids that are in your school. It's not enough to just fix yourself in this case. You have to help fix the organization, because school, as we know it, is horribly, horribly broken. If you want to read some more, if you disagree with any of the statements I'm making, look up a guy named John Taylor Gatto. John Taylor Gatto. And Google John Taylor Gatto against school. And what you will realize is, much like Neo unplugging himself in the Matrix, is that the way school works right now is exactly how it's supposed to work. School, as it was originally designed by Henry Ford and others, was to desensitize and de-incentivize people. It was built to cause them to worry about clocks and schedules and admire the teacher as they would some admire their store manager. That's what school is built to do. If you don't unplug from that, if you don't help break that down, then by de facto reality, you are participating in throwing kids off that cliff. That is not going to work in the future for our economy. So that's my challenge for you right now. What are you going to do about it? If you want to follow me on Twitter and keep the conversation going, I will add my Twitter info right now. If you tweet me, I will tweet you back. Join our conversation.
John, they also have a link to your Twitter in our daily schedule.
Excellent.
1 hour, 2 Ps.
1 hour, 2 Ps. So here's my final image for you guys. This is what one school's bulletin board looked like. I found this on Google Images.
Let's get rocking.
Read the other part.
This year will test your head and your mind and your brain too.
That's a quote from Dewey in the movie. So I would love to answer or entertain any quick questions, but you guys are so fortunate to be in this group. Get that. The Merit program is amazing. It's a ridiculously cool incubator for teaching and education, and I just am excited to be able to share with you guys.
Anybody have any questions? Oh, there you are. No questions. Carl has a question. Carl, would you like to come to the front and let him see your face? Joanne has a question.
Given the needs of the system, what are some key ways you think? I guess where are the areas innovation is needed?
Did you hear the question, or would you like me to repeat it?
Yeah. Where are the areas of innovation? Let me. I can't answer that directly because it's always a local thing, but I'll tell you this. There's a country called England, and they just made programming an official second language that all students will learn.
Wow.
Now, England or the United Kingdom, John?
Oh, you Anglophiles, I don't know. It's a country called, it's surrounding, it has a king. There's like a queen and a king. I don't know exactly. The Irish are in on this, okay? Frankly, I don't know if they get down with whatever the British are doing.
Okay, we missed a big part of that.
Think about the change that is.
But go ahead, sorry.
Damn McDonald's. Hey, I need better Wi-Fi. So follow this. Programming. Would you guys agree that's a pretty wildly creative activity?
Yeah.
Right. If you have kids program video games, they will not look exactly the same unless you're that teacher that makes them do that. So what England has done by saying everybody will do programming is they have created a very open network. But you have to understand, coding is the future. So if you have a country in which every kid can basically make their own steam engine, because coding is the economic equivalent of being able to make your own steam engine. Is Flappy Bird's a good enough example, right? Would that take that guy like a week to make? So imagine United States is over here. Oh, we do computer club for those 3 geeky kids, and one of them can actually program. Here's England. Everybody programs. Who's going to win economically? 20 years down the road, they're going to kill us. They will be able to print, through coding, their own economic railroad engine. They will be able to build things that make money, that cause Americans to give them money, and we will still be consumers. Is that a good food for thought model? Okay. Here's another example. I'm going to throat chop somebody one of these days if I see one more Excel spreadsheet of standard. You can't teach the standards once at a time. You can't do it one at a time. And that's what we did, right? In California. How many teachers do you see out there who are, today we'll do standard 1.4. I hope you get it right. Because tomorrow is 1.5. I can't wait for 1.9. What's it going to be? I would say another example of interrupting that process would be Minecraft, right? I know Diane talked about Minecraft this week.
We also just had a presentation of a project that's going to involve Minecraft.
Right, and see, Minecraft is awesome because you're bringing in logic, art, programming, divergent thinking, and instead of to be good, you will answer all of these 14 bubbles correctly, right? That's not good enough in Minecraft. In Minecraft, you're going to build a whole world. You have to think about everything involved with that. You can have full economies running. And what's also awesome is it's incredibly divergent. It's wide open. So everybody's project looks totally different, but they can cover all of the standards that they need to cover in a way that is easily graded and presented. So that would be some of my initial thoughts.
Good question. Yeah. Just so you know, John, we have a little bit of a lag, so we're hearing you and then we're seeing you say what we just heard. Perfect. Okay. So any other questions? What do you teach now? Well, yeah, we didn't cover what your current job description is, mostly because I can't keep track of it. I know it's Mariposa County something. No, cliff diving was an extracurricular activity. No!
I was doing a fake screen. Got you.
Nicely done. John, I fell for it.
That was good.
fell for it. That was awesome.
Another one. That was another one. Let's see. So basically, my tortured career looks like this. I started. These are true facts. My first day of long-term subbing was April 1st.
Everybody thought you were a joke.
April Fool's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I taught. I did 4th through 8th grade kind of stuff for about 11 years, and then I worked for Fresno County office for 2.5 years or so, doing CTAP kind of stuff. And then I got really lucky. A brand new high school was going to open up about 4 miles from my house. And the superintendent called me up and said, "Hey, let's do this." And I was like, "Right on. When do I interview?" And he said, "You don't have to interview. Just come to work August 1st. So that was Minarets High School, www.minarets.us. We started in 2008. Every kid at Minarets has always had a device, MacBook, and then recently we started having iPads. It was Google Docs from day one. It was projecting from day one. And I did that for a little over 5 years. And then this really cool job opened up in the Director of Curriculum and Instruction. And I could not say no to that, primarily because Mariposa County is home to a thing called Yosemite National Park. And we have a K-6 school in there, which unfortunately needs a lot of guidance. So I have to go up there a lot. And so that's really, really cool. And then now I've moved to assistant superintendent, which is really weird because it feels like I'm going legit, and I'm not sure I want to. So so that's kind of what I do now. I'm the assistant superintendent and then director of IT now, because I collect titles in my spare time. I don't get necessarily money for it, but I've got this titles for days. Yeah, yeah. Whenever somebody gives you a free title, you say yes.
Especially if they give you some more money with it, right?
Mm-hmm. They don't always give you the money, but you always take the title.
So that you can put it on that slide, right, with all the titles and the things?
Oh, I love the slides. Yeah, that's good.
Any other questions or things you want to throw at John? Sometimes just giving him a topic to go off on.
John, can you talk a little bit about being a prophet in your own land? That idea of, like, I mean, you've got all these teachers who are going to head back to schools that may have that have all these big ideas that may be met receptively, but may involve like doors slamming in their faces and like what the.
Okay. Because my advertising degree, I'm not a teacher from college. I'm an advertising major, so I do this different than other people. To be a prophet in your own land, this is how you got to do this. You ready? This is how you do this. It's really easy. It's called a coalition of the willing.
Right.
What you're going to do, remember the old Fabergé commercial with Farrah? I told 2 friends, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on.
So there are people in this room that are like, what? Because they're too young.
Oh, crap. All right, anyways, Diane, can you play that for them later? It's from 77, so it makes sense.
I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, Fabergé. Anyways, so basically what I do is, let's say that you have a school that has approximately 30 teachers. Is that a pretty normal number for most of you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is how this works. This is just demographics. There are 4 kinds of purchasers. There are innovators, early adopters, the masses, and laggards. I'm going to do that again. Ready? Innovators, early adopters, the masses, and laggards. Okay? So if you've got 30 people at your school, you might have 2 innovators. You might have 1. If you're going to be one of the 2 innovators, you have to make sure you get along with the other innovator. Okay. Then what you've got to do is find a couple people that are willing to say yes to goofy ideas. And this is the lessons from the Dancy guy thing. Now, out of 30 people, you might have 4 or 5 that are innovators or early adopters. And what you have to do now is be patient. You have to do things for 6 months, might be a year or 2. But those 5 or 6 have to start having success. Those 5 or 6, those parents are now going to go to the next teacher who still loves Accelerator Reader and say,
Don't get him started.
not get me started.
Hold on. Give us a moment to compose ourselves.
AR is the devil. If I was going to start a country called Soviet Russia and I wanted people to not read, I would make people do Accelerated Reader. It's operant conditioning for not reading.
You're crunching.
Yeah, crunchy ice. If you want something really cool, check out readingglue.com. First of all, it's free. Readingglue.com. First of all, it's free. Kids pick whatever damn book they want to. And they don't need a sticker to tell them if they can read a freaking book. They don't need an adult to tell them if they can read a book. And what they do is they do online activities where they can form reading groups and lit circles online with their classmates. And yeah. And it tracks their pages, because this is the hilarious part of AR. A bunch of people that like it say, I need AR to track the pages. And I'm going, dude, what's the grade book for? Now, I used to do that back in 1996. You read 100 pages, you get 100 points. Well, what's the accountability? Their lit circle is the accountability. I want you to see you fake your way through a lit circle. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
So, where were we? What were we talking about?
Somebody, somehow you mentioned AR and then you started getting. All right.
Early adopters. Okay. So if you're going to flip a school that's hard to work with, once you're 5 people or 6 people out of 30 have formed a work group and you're sharing exciting ideas and really gassing each other up, pay attention to each other first. And then as 1 or 2 or 3 years go by, your principal will start saying things like, hey, can you show 4th grade how to do that? And parents will go to that next teacher and go, hey, why don't you do it like so-and-so? This was so cool that all the grades were actually online and I could see the grades before the end of the semester. So that group of 5 then turns very quickly over 2 years into a group of 10 or 12. Once you're at a group of 10 or 12, the whole school is going to flip, because the people that are left are the masses, and the masses are terrified of being left out of projects. The masses don't want it. They're the people that say things like, I wonder if an interactive whiteboard would help my classroom. They're at least 4 years off the pace. So what you got to do is sneak in there and say, this is not the interactive whiteboard you're looking for. Use your iPad. And then they go, wow, this is so much easier and it's not scary. Will you be my edu friend? And you say, I will, and I work at this school. I can just come and visit you anytime you like. And then you've got to realize that out of 30 teachers, there will be between 1 and 4 that are just never going to get it. So don't engage them. Ignore them. In World War II, MacArthur saved thousands of Allied lives by going around islands that were tough. He just cut them off from all their supplies and starved them out instead of invading them. And the school version of that is certain people will retire after a while, and that's okay. You know, I have empathy for that group too. Imagine that you signed up for teaching in 1978 and you thought your hardest job was going to be making dittos and calling home. You know, teaching is a different thing than what they signed up for. So I understand why they feel frustrated. And not everybody is built to do that. So does that help clarify that a little bit? If you're a lead person, like let's say you're a TOSA or a tech lead or an IT lead or something like that, what I do is I bring in people like Diane or Carl or Lisa that are my friends. I pay them a nice little stipend to present for the day, and then I jump in at lunchtime and do more cool stuff than they do so that my staff can see that wow, this person was a really good speaker, and John got right in there and mixed it up with them. He must be good too. So if you try to start and take the bull by the horns and run the whole thing by yourself, it's tricky because it comes off as talking about yourself. What you want to do is facilitate people that they can make friends with on their own and then be part of that love triangle.
Are you looking at the chat at all, John?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, crunching ice. No.
It's bad?
Oh, mute yourself when you crunch ice.
I don't mute myself very often.
Yeah, John, I've known you a long time, and I've never seen you mute yourself once. Yep. Any other?
I froze there for a second.
Now I have a question for you. I heard that our time was 9:30 to 10:15. Is that because soccer's finishing at 10:15?
Soccer's done at 10:30. I need a little transition time.
Yep. And is
We're
it
good.
Mia or Claire?
It's Claire.
Tell her I said hey.
Yeah, Mia's still asleep, I guarantee you.
Well, you guys did just travel a lot. Any other questions or things for John? Something you'd like to know, or again? Say what?
Is he gonna go down the slide?
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to go down the slide in the play place? See the rules right behind you? See the rules? Don't look at that.
I'm not a strong reader.
Don't read.
I'm not a strong reader. I took AR to read. My teacher had I could pass a bubble test like nobody's business, but I can't read the word things.
Can you get down the slide though?
I don't see security.
Okay, do it now. Do it now on camera.
Good. I'm pushing the limits as it is doing this. So they haven't even said anything, and 3 people have tried to come in here and they keep leaving. So I don't know what's going on.
I think they were offended by your stance on AR.
They don't know what they're talking about then.
That's true. So is what I'm hearing that you're not going to go down the play slide live on this Hangout? Is that what I'm hearing?
I want you to imagine what would happen if I went down the slide. Your imagination is more important than seeing it.
Well, because I want Claire to get picked up from soccer, I'm going to stop encouraging you to do something really, really naughty.
Awesome.
So I'm
I love
doing
it.
For Claire, it's not for you. Okay. John does have to go. Oh, wait, Abby has a question.
When's Rockstar Australia?
When is Rockstar Australia?
Oh, good day, mate. I don't know. Next year we're lined up for Cologne, Amsterdam, Hawaii, and South Africa. So we'll see. And well, here's the other thing. I'll give you guys this last send off too. The deal with the Rockstar too is it's not Rockstar like Lady Gaga special color M&M's Rockstar. It's really a place where people can come and spread their wings. Lisa Highfield, I want you to talk about this after I get off. How were you with presenting before Rockstar, right? Diane, I know you've done some presenting, but it took you to a whole other level, right? The whole idea of Rockstar is to give people a place to spread their wings. It's not about elite us-only model. It's about people. If you go to any conference in America, the one you're most likely to get thrown a microphone at is Rockstar. We will grab people out of the audience and make them present. So it's that kind of collegialism, if that's a word. I don't know if that's a word.
It is.
Oh, good. All right. That's good.
But in the workshops, there wouldn't really be a microphone unless it's being used for recording because they're so intimate and.
Well, right. Well, and that's one of the things I hear from sessions a lot is that the presenters say, I learned so much from the people in my room. It's about working together as opposed to just listening.
I've done 4 or 5 of these now, maybe 6, and I have learned something every day of every one.
Yep.
And ice cream is awesome.
And ice cream is good. Okay,
So
are we good to go?
So if you're not going to go down that slide, you should get an ice cream and show it to us.
And not till 10:30.
Yeah, because you're so rule following. I would just go behind the counter and get it myself. But okay.
I like that.
You do need to go pick up Claire. So thank you very much very, very much for joining us.
It was nice to share with you all, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the Twitter.
Yes, the Twitter is where we will be.
Bye-bye from the Playland.
Bye, Johnny. All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast if I can get. And hello, Internet. Goodbye.